Barely 2 months after the controversial governorship primary of the All Progressives Congress APC in Lagos State, the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Olawale Oluwo, has resigned his position as Commissioner and has also dumped the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, in the state. In a resignation letter addressed to the chairman of the APC in Lagos, Mr. Oluwo says that he decided to resign as he could no longer shoulder the heavy moral burden the contentious primary elections placed on him. The resignation letter says, quote, "I have found it rather difficult to come to terms or rationalize the party's conduct of the October 2018 primary elections, which were largely characterized by massive voter disenfranchisement, intimidation, violence, undue influence, and non-compliance with all known principles of democracy." End of quote. The former commissioner explained that the governorship primary, which was conducted using open ballot option, in violation of the guidelines of the APC that specified the open secret ballot option, rubbished the reputation of the state as the epitome of free and fair democratic practice. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has rearranged alleged fraudster Fred Ajudua on a 10-count charge of defrauding a German, Zaid Abu Zalaf, of the sum of $1 million. At the specific offence court sitting in Ikeja, Mr. Ajudua pleaded not guilty to the charges, which also includes conspiracy, obtaining by false pretense, and forging of documents. Presiding Judge Justice Mojisola Dada also dismissed an application brought by Ajudua's counsel, Mr. Olalekan Ojo, asking the court to rescue itself from the case on grounds of likelihood of bias. The judge held that the petition written by the defendant on the issue in the past had exonerated her, as she had been given a clean bill by the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the National Judicial Council, the NJC. The court subsequently took the testimony of the German on how he was allegedly defrauded and adjourned till tomorrow, the 6th of December, for cross-examination of the witness. 24 hours after a federal high court in Abuja ordered the arrest of former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison Madueke, the EFCC chairman Ibrahim Magu says that the commission is ready to comply with that directive. Fielding questions from journalists in Abuja at an interactive session, Mr. Magu says that the order of Justice Valentine Ashe, delivered on the 3rd of December 2018, is explicit enough, and the Commission is collaborating with other security agencies to ensure that the former minister is arrested and prosecuted.
Of course, since we say we want her and she's not here, something is wrong somewhere. I think you need to put pressure on the other side to repatriate her and to bring back the loot. More than 80% of the loot recovery outside this country are still hanging. Ask them, why is it hanging? Why is it so difficult to repatriate back this loot when you have established that this money came from Nigeria and you know that this person does not own this money? I mean, there is no justification. It's not small money. We have over $300-something million hanging in Jersey Island in UK.
A special session of the Federal Executive Council is to hold on Friday, 7th of December at 10:30 a.m. The Senior Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, announced this to journalists at a briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, ended. He says that issues of budget and transmission thereafter is expected to be discussed. Our correspondent Gloria Mezoke reports.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, presides over the week's Federal Executive Council at the State House. First, the issue of the 2019 budget came to the fore after the closed-door meeting as the Senior Special Advisor to the President makes this announcement.
On Friday, by 10:30 a.m., there is going to be a special session of the Federal Executive Council. The intention is to look at the budget, get the proposals approved by FEC, and then it will be transmitted to the National Assembly. So that happens on Friday by 10:30 a.m.
The council approved contract for the construction of a national freight office in Katsina State.
The sum of 551 million naira, 810,060 naira, and the contract is to last for 36 weeks. You know, the National Freight Office is usually located at the border post. So the border post between Katsina and I think Niger Republic, I think so. We believe that by next year, we will encourage those who transport by trucks through Lagos, between Lagos and Ibadan, to use the rail.
In the power sector, the end of the year means more work and more good roads for Nigerians.
We have identified 53 major corridors across the country where our contractors have roads under construction but also bad portions. So Lokoja, Bini-Auchi is one of those sections and a couple of others. And the agreement we have reached with our contractors, they will maintain working gangs throughout. It's not a 2 weeks period for us, it's a 1.5 month period up to the 19th of January. When things normalize, our men will be working to ease movement nationwide.
Meanwhile, the sports minister told council that no fewer than 8,861 athletes are expected to participate at the 19th National Sports Festival, which is a major legacy of the country's national unity, on Thursday. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari is back in the country after attending the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Poland. The president left the country on Saturday for the conference, where he asked United Nations member countries to rededicate themselves to the task of rebuilding and restoring a healthy environment for future generations. You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's shift gears now, shall we? It's time now for business news with Emana Amawe.
You First. First Bank.
Very many thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Business News. Crude oil prices have slipped in a choppy trade session, one day before the world's biggest producers meet to decide oil policy for 2019 on signs of growing excess global supply and increased U.S. inventories. The American Petroleum Institute says U.S. crude stockpile rose by 5.4 million barrels in the week to November the 30th to 448 million barrels, while Saudi crude hit a record 11.3 million barrels per day in November. Brent crude futures were down 24 cents to $61.84 a barrel by 8:30 p.m. local time, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 21 cents to $53.04. OPEC, Russia, and other producers will meet in Vienna, the Austrian capital, tomorrow to consider a reduction in crude output. The governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, has presented the 2019 appropriation bill tagged Budget for Sustained Economic Growth and Youth Empowerment. The proposed budget has a total size of 157.1 billion naira, with 41.3% earmarked as recurrent expenditure and 58.7% for capital expenditure. The state governor, Willie Obiano, made the presentation during the legislative sitting at the Anambra State House of Assembly, presided over by the Speaker, Mrs. Rita Magu. Addressing the members of the State House, Governor Obiano disclosed that the budget has a spending ratio of 65.33 billion naira for recurrent and 91.8 billion on capital expenditure.
The proposed budget has a total size of 157.1 billion naira, while 41.3% earmarked as recurrent expenditure, 58.7% for capital expenditures. Madam Speaker, these draft estimates for 2019 clearly demonstrates my administration's determination to continue delivering good governance and purposeful leadership to Anambra. In 2019, focus will be on diversifying the economy by investing heavily in the creative economy, agriculture, technology, and tourism. This will ensure that jobs are created for the teeming youths of Anambra State. We also intend to intervene in the areas of job creation through youth empowerment, skill acquisition, in partnership with the private sector. This will assist in improving the means of livelihood for the poor and the vulnerable.
The federal government is still in the process of floating more Naira-denominated debt before 2018 comes to a close. The Ministry of Environment has indicated plans to issue the second tranche of the government's landmark 280 billion Naira green bond rolled out last July. The government, through the Debt Management Office, has also announced another round of Sukuk bond offerings targeted at road infrastructure before the year runs out. Meantime, the Debt Office has cancelled its monthly Naira bond auction program for the month. The DMO will instead repay Treasury bonds worth about 70 billion Naira. Nigeria's equities market extended gains from the previous session following a late surge in Dangote cement shares, with support from some key insurance blue-chip equities. For more on today's trade, let's join Chimezie Obiwagu.
Thank you for joining us on Stock Market Report. The equities market sustained Tuesday's positive sentiment as the all-share index remained in the green, 0.47%. Despite that gain, today's trading day can be described as lackluster as all the primary market indicators, volume, value, and deals barely changed from yesterday's. The volume stood below 200 million shares and value stays in the 2 billion Naira region. FBN Holdings was the most actively traded, contributing about 40% of the total volume. Investors took position in Dangote Cement, which advanced by 2.70%, boosting the overall market performance, placing the industrial sector as the best performer amongst the sectors. Insurance stocks also retained Monday's optimism, thanks to the 0.03% gain by WAPIC. The banks were mostly hit as non-risk appetite investors booked profit from the big names in the sector, particularly GT Bank. No one knows if this is an early visit by Santa Claus or January effect coming early to Nigerian stock market, but traders are keeping their fingers crossed. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obiwagu. Back to you, Emana.
Meanwhile, global stocks closed today's trading session mostly negative amid concerns about an economic slowdown in the U.S. and weakening expectations of a lasting U.S.-China trade truce. The New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ are closed for a national day of mourning in honor of the country's 41st president, George Herbert Walker Bush. And that's business news tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Emana Amawe. It's back to Gimba.
You First. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Nigeria's continental representatives, Lobi Stars of Makurdi and Enugu Rangers, advanced in the CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup return leg matches. That's the sports news. Stay with us.